morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm one of those who totally subscribe to the view that Zimbabwe in 1980, when we gained our independence, had the potential to become the South Korea of Africa. Economically prosperous, with justice, rule of law, and a future for all. And yet, 45 years down the line, one has to admit that we are a failed state. Millions of Zimbabweans are living in abject poverty. Basic services such as education and healthcare have all but collapsed. Our infrastructure is in varying stages of rot and decay. And each time something like new infrastructure is commissioned, as the commissioning of the recent Kumbuzi roundabout, there is a lot of song and dance. A big deal is made of it. And yet even those, there's really very little to celebrate, because a closer look at the project shows that more often than not, it's way behind schedule and way above budget. The roundabout is believed to have costed twice as much as it should have done. And needless to say, most of the money was siphoned off in payments for corruption. Where have we gone wrong? I think it is an important question to be asked. Before I invite Ben to join in on this issue, I'll just play this video clip, which I think will help us look at it from a slightly different angle.
Balloons to class and gave one to each student. Write your name on it, she said. They did. Tossed them into the hallway. She gave them 5 minutes to find the one with their name. The students ran, pushed, searched, but it was chaos. Time ran out. Most hadn't found their own. Then the teacher said, "Now try this. Pick up any balloon, read the name, and hand it to the person it belongs to." Within minutes, everyone had their balloon. She smiled and said, "This is exactly how life works. You won't find happiness by looking only for your own. But when you help others find theirs, it always finds its way back to you." Moral of the story: happiness is not found by chasing only what you want. It's found when you help others find what they need.
An interesting story there, Ben. What do you think?
A teacher once brought a bunch of balloons to class.
Good day to you and good day to all viewers. Thank you for joining us. You know, when it comes to building a nation, ZANU-PF always talks about it. It's a national building project, and we should be doing it together. And it starts with us working and actually being together. And we know this is not the truth. We know they have their own mafia group that is working, in the closets by themselves, and they're just expecting the citizens to agree with whatever they have decided. But like you stated, Zimbabwe had the potential to be, the South Korea of Zimbabwe. Let's rewind back, you know, before independence. Rhodesia was under, sanctions. And what baffled most economists is that surprisingly the economy was doing very, very well. Why is that? You will find out that the main ingredient was there were plans to build Zimbabwe, not to build oneself. Just like what the video said. When you work together, when you work for somebody else, you reap the rewards yourself. And unfortunately, with this First Republic or the Second Republic, call it whatever you may like, they have not worked for the people. Rather, they have worked for themselves. This is why you find Zimbabwe is one of the most corrupt countries in the world. They have made sure that they first develop their own pockets or fill up their own pockets and that of their next of kin. By the time it gets to the people, there is nothing left. And you were talking about, the song and dance that is being made about this whole inter-exchange, the Trababalas exchange. This is just less than 30 kilometers that has been fixed. After 30 kilometers, there is the whole of Zimbabwe. We know that the roads are bad. So, to what purpose does it then benefit just to fix a 30-kilometer radius and make it look nice and presentable? And yet, just after the 30 kilometers, you are in potholes, dirt roads, and so forth. We have failed because our leaders are not for the people and not by the people. They were not elected, and thus they are not accountable to anybody. So they will do as they please.
Tragedy with Zimbabwe is we have really failed to understand the importance of the rules. If we go back to the story of the balloons, what we have here is a situation where those in positions of power and authority have access to go and look in the corridors for their balloons way before others. And in their selfishness, they want to make their job easier to find their own balloon, their own happiness. And so, in searching for their own balloon with their own name, they go along and pop all the other balloons that has the other people's names on it. There's no rule of law. They have become the law into themselves. Our leaders are not accountable to the people. Indeed, if anything at all, our leaders fear the people. They don't want to be the people to hold them to account. And so you've got this situation where resources are monopolized by a handful at the expense of the rest of the population. And as a society, our failure to come up with a system in which there is rule of law has been our greatest undoing. There is no doubt there is no rule of law in Zimbabwe. There is no doubt that ZANU-PF does not believe they are accountable to the people. Mnangagwa has rigged elections repeatedly. And this 2008 electoral coup is an illustration of who Mnangagwa really is.
2008 patakaita ma-elections pakaposa papinda Tsvangirai ndandiri election agent yapresident. Ma-results abuda tiri paparty headquarters vamutasa vanga vari secretary vedu veadministration vamutasa muripi ndafona ndiri kwarusapi komogwenda kwarusapi seka ma-results achibuda kudai vanga aiwa zvako izvo Mnangagwa ndezvako endaenda kumusha ofisi vanga vabisa zvinhu zvavo zvose watofunga kuti zani yadini yaparara. President ofona zvakamira sei kati ndomamira zvakaita takatodini katida sei manje mama tikati abvudzai baba ntaurira baba gadzirai politburo cabinet musarangarira zvimwe zvipi gadzirai chi cabinet asi nangoda kuti muzive kuti 2008 ma-results abuda vamutasa vakatiza.
As a country we face a generational transition. Vana vesa vari kuma below 35 they are crying out for help. The country is in a mess. Arusuru, we know we are inheriting a mess. We know this country has been left with nothing.
I'm assuring you that starting from tomorrow, you'll see a different nation from what you have seen or read on the news about these results and everything. Where we are going ahead there, the situation will be very different. What we said to our people, they could not see with their own eyes. We are going to act as we see it fit. We are prepared to go the whole distance.
Underlines the tragedy of Zimbabwe. Nearly 500 people were killed in the 2008 elections. Millions were internally displaced. Hundreds of thousands had their property destroyed, beaten up, raped, in an effort to deny the people of Zimbabwe a meaningful say in the governance of the country. And what is ironic here is that the man who masterminded it, who was behind Operation Mafotera Papi, went on to occupy the highest office in the land. It underlines the rot, the extent of the rot of our political system. That the man who should, by all accounts, be in prison is the one occupying the highest office in the land. Tragic. Ben, do you want to give your closing remarks?
In closing, I would want to say Zimbabwe is ranked 143rd out of I think they're the fifth from the bottom of the most unhappiest countries in the world, with their population very, 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 very poor. To an extent, to give you an example, Mugabe's house, the curtains in the house cost millions just to put up the curtains. Not the house, the actual building itself, but just the curtains. And you go to the citizens where you are finding they have or they are staying in mud huts in this day and age, 21st century. They're still in mud huts. Very little, protection from the elements of nature, water, that kind of thing. This just shows when democracy does not exist, you find such discrepancies. And the only way to fix Zimbabwe is to fight for democracy, a meaningful say in who governs the country. And once we get that, we can now hold these thugs accountable for their atrocities that they have committed against us. So, in conclusion, my last words would be, if there are no reforms come 2028, there should be no elections. Because if we go into those elections, ZANU-PF will rig those elections. And lo and behold, our suffering will continue. We will probably be the most unhappiest at the end of the day. The choice is now on us. What do we do? Do we continue participating in rigged elections? Or do we stop participating and fight for reforms? Thank you.
I'll give the last word to Margaret Dongo. She is a freedom fighter in her own right. She fought in the War of Liberation, of Independence. And she was a ZANU-PF member of parliament until she was put out of the party. And she stood as an independent and won. Here she is explaining why the people, the ordinary Zimbabweans, keep voting for ZANU-PF while they are sinking deeper and deeper into the abyss of poverty and despair.
They have wrong priorities, especially the current government. How can you go and build an airport which services a few people, and the majority are the elite and the so-called investors? Look at the rural. I made you come to interview me because I wanted you to have the experience of the roads that we are using. If we go today to our hospital there, you feel pity with that's a hospital in a rural area. If we go to our clinic, you feel pity. We have no piped water here. Do you know the reason why the rural people vote for ZANU-PF? One, they're intimidated. Two, the policy is that the rural people should remain poor and subservient to the government. They should remain poor, because if they remain poor, they continue singing the song for their master. This is why these people have been impoverished. It's for a reason. Because at the moment, if you economic empower these people, they'll go out of hand. ZANU-PF will never have control over them.
I believe she is right. Zimbabwe still has the potential to become the South Korea of Africa. But we need to economically empower our people and politically empower them. The first step would be economic empowerment. The rural people must be given title deeds to at least the yard in which their mud hut stands. Give them the confidence that they can develop and build a decent housing for themselves, and they will build it, knowing fully well that even if they should want to move, they can sell it as an ongoing consent. Whereas at the present moment, because they have no title deeds to the land, they cannot do that. When are we going to carry on with this political system that is holding the overwhelming majority of our people as no more than second class citizens with no economic rights, with no political rights, and have to live in constant fear of those in positions of power and authority? We can all be a happy nation if we restore the rule of law. And yet, that has remained as elusive as ever. 45 years after independence, we are still failing to hold free, fair, and credible elections. It's a crying shame. Thank you and have a good night.